care about the future, cause they live it in the past. Sal and Kurt are taking all 5 seasons of Blossom to task. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll be weak in the knees. This show's got more range than Nick on the keys. Only gal in the house, and that's how she goes. One brother was a junkie and the other one was. Weekly lessons coming fast in the Russo flat. Blossom's teenage girl problems are as big as her hat. So take your opinionations and make them shine. It's the OK Bloomer podcast, and it's about damn time.
Don't know. Don't know.
All right.
All right, man.
Hit me with those sweet, sweet synopses. This is my favorite part of the week.
Excellent.
And it's weird because my anger and my hatred has now been redirected. It's not even hatred, just like, come on, Disney Plus. This is what you're giving me, but it's not Disney Plus. They're still lazy, but they're just lifting what was written by the iTunes folks. So it's kind of a pass, but not really a pass. Anyways, hit me.
It's a good one this week. This week we're talking Season 1, Episode 11, titled School Daze. First aired March 25th, 1991. The Disney Plus synopsis: Blossom plans to drop out of private school.
That's fair. That works.
Yeah. And this one's a little more filled out. The TV database says, against her father's wishes, Blossom plans to drop out of her snooty private school and enroll in public school. Joey schemes to pass a history test.
Yeah, that's a little better.
Yeah.
What was the word they used? Snooty?
Yeah. It's a great word.
That adds. No, that adds. That one word makes a big difference in the synopsis. I'm being serious.
Yeah, for sure it does. Yeah.
You're immediately on Blossom's side when you hear the word snooty. You're like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a
before
good
just
point.
she wants to drop out of private school, you're like, all right, whatever. Like, is it she hate her teachers? Is it, like, what's the deal? But yeah.
That's true, yeah.
All right. Should we do this?
Let's do it.
I hit play. It asks me if I want to skip intro. As always, I say no. I'm running out of things to look at. But this time, I look at the actual chair when Blossom straddles it and leans back. It's a chair your grandma would have in her backyard.
Yeah, it's
and yet
old,
another layer of awkward.
It's like a white wicker chair.
Yeah, which makes that even more
Pretty sure my
bizarre,
grandma
and-
did have one of those in her backyard.
And I'm pretty sure your grandma didn't use it for that.
Yeah.
I mean, she might have.
Nah,
Maybe.
I don't want to think about
No,
that.
you're gonna kill that right now, right? Now,
Yeah.
Welcome to my world. That's what I've been battling for like 11 weeks now, right?
I guess so.
Uncomfortable. See? I finally won you over by pointing out that it's a grandma's chair. See? You're welcome. We're on the same page now.
Well done.
You've
You
been
did
dodging that and saying it hasn't been bugging you for 11 weeks, and now you get it.
Well, it bugs me now, yeah.
Right?
All right, so your thing's the chair this week?
I was staring at the chair this week, and yeah, the fact that it looks like what would be around your grandmother's patio set.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
she
a good
made
call.
you lemonade or iced tea as a child.
That's
Just adds another cringe moment of that.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question here.
Okay.
When you're supposed to get the Too Many Cooks shot, and
Yeah.
it has like the little music intro going from the credits into the first scene, was yours on black for 6 seconds?
I wrote lots of black before the show finally starts.
There was 6 seconds. I timed it, and then it just cuts right into Blossom's room.
Yep.
I don't know.
I didn't notice the awkward cut. Oh, I did notice the awkward cut. Yeah.
It's
That's
like
weird.
they spliced out the first shot of the episode, or like they forgot to put it in. I don't know where along the process that was, but it was weird.
Yeah, that's another weird edit. I just thought somebody messed up, but now that you mention it, that's totally what happened. They hard cut something. I wonder what they cut out.
I don't know.
What could have possibly happened in that 6 seconds?
Well, it would have just been like the Too Many Cook shot of like the outside of the house,
Yeah.
right? So it's just like
they probably messed up, and there's probably some guy that hated the show that was like holding the set up or something, holding the cardboard front of the house up, and you could see like his boots or something. It was some grumpy teamster that was ruining the shot on purpose.
I like to think of it more like whoever was like updating the edits for streaming and DVDs. If you go to like their Avid timeline, you'll just see the opening shot like way at the end of the timeline. They're like, damn it, I forgot to put that back in. And just nobody noticed. They sent it right to Disney Plus.
Totally. or else they just messed up and it was like the school exterior or something.
Yeah, so they were like, oh, it's better just to air 6 seconds of black than have everybody think we're starting in the school. I don't know what would be worse. What would be worse if it was like the opening shot of the school and then it's in Blossom's room? Is that more jarring than just 6 seconds of black and music?
Would you even notice if it was the school? Yeah, I
Probably,
don't know.
probably not.
That'd be a tough
honest.
call.
Yeah.
What would you do, honestly? Like, honestly, if you were in that scenario, if it was the wrong establishing shot, what would you do in that call?
What would I do as a viewer, or what would I do?
No, like as an editor, as someone who's in the industry like myself. If you had to make that call,
Right.
and justify that to like the powers above. This became a thing that I didn't expect to become a thing, but yeah, they left lots of black before the show starts with a hard edit. They got rid of the Too Many Cooks exterior for some reason and didn't have anything to cover it.
If I was showing it to higher ups, I would just put the shot of the school and hope they wouldn't notice.
Yeah?
I would say that having nothing there at all is definitely more jarring, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
If it was the school and
weird.
it went to Blossom's room, I bet you there would be a good percentage of people who wouldn't even notice.
You notice the black, though.
Yes, you certainly do. All right, so where are we?
That should not be a Twitter handle. Okay, we are, you get ready for this?
Yes.
Written by Don Reo himself. Did you catch that?
He wrote
The
last week's
first-
episode as well.
No, not solo.
Oh, not solo, no.
This is the first solo Don Reo episode.
Let's see what he brings to the table, the creator of Blossom.
Let's see what the co-creator thinks this should all look and sound like. I'm excited.
Let's do it.
There's no filtering. There's no bouncing ideas. This is all Don Reo playing in the sandbox.
So Blossom and Six are in Blossom's room. They're having another sleepover, and they're doing homework. Blossom's complaining about how much homework she has, and Six recommends her paying somebody to do it for her.
Yeah. Then Six says, or you could just change schools again.
Right.
And they both agree that when Blossom changed schools, it was a nightmare. And at 121, we have a glossy flashback. And I wrote, this is new. What is happening?
Yeah, it was all kind of confusing at first. I don't know about you.
So confusing.
I was a little confused.
Have they ever done, like... You know what I mean? Like that weird transition.
Yeah, I was like,
like
what is
Wayne's
it,
World
Saved by
parodies?
the Bell? Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, totally Wayne's World, like that. Like that's
Yeah,
what they did.
that's exactly what it is. So Blossom is at an all-girl school. She hasn't done her homework and says her fish ate it. The preppy girl sitting in front of her turns and says, it's supposed to be your dog that ate it. And Blossom says, oh, that's better. And then their teacher, who is dressed like the Avenger Black Widow, walks in.
Yeah, I was like, why is she dressed like a dominatrix? That's weird.
Right? Which is what they were going for completely.
Oh yeah,
Like actually, right?
she had one of those like, I don't know, what
Like
you call
riding crop things.
it. Yeah,
Those things you hit your horse with.
right, yeah.
So their assignment was to write a medium-sized novel about Chinese foot binding and potassium. And that's actually really dark. Like, do you know what Chinese foot binding is?
No, I mean maybe.
Really? It's the old, like, dated Chinese custom of breaking and then tightly binding the feet of young girls in order to change the shape and size of their feet.
Good God, man.
Oh, yeah. In the old culture, small feet were a symbol of beauty. So, yeah, you would smash your baby girl's feet and then, like, wrap them in the tightest shoes possible so when they healed, they wouldn't grow.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, man. Blossom, making fun of that. Which also, I mean, potassium helps bones, doesn't it? So
Something like that.
they actually knew that joke, that
Right.
there would be like a connection between Chinese foot binding and potassium, but still, thumbs down, man. Big thumbs down.
The teacher senses, she senses that somebody didn't do their homework?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she assigns them extra notes, and then she tells them that they can blame somebody, and she says, I'll give you a hint. It's Blossom Russo. And then Blossom says, that's not a hint. Anyone could get that.
That was pretty funny. I'll give Don Reo credit there.
The teacher's leaving the classroom again, and she says she'll basically give out extra credits to anybody who beats the shit out of Blossom.
Yeah, that's basically almost word for word what she says. She says if anything happens to Blossom while she's out of the room, they'll get extra credit.
Yeah.
So the teacher leaves, and then UFO music plays.
Yeah.
And the kids have all turned into zombies and are after Blossom. I get it, but why is, like, that is definitely UFO music. It's not zombie music or zombie sound effects. Like, did they not have a track, or, like, nobody could lay that down? Instead it's like, it's like,
oh, they didn't
know?
care. They didn't care.
What? How?
There's no attention to detail in that. They were just like zombies, aliens. It's the same thing.
And then Blossom, we go back to some racial humor. She says, no,
Yeah.
actually, she said Rossum Russo, the Korean exchange student. That's who didn't do their homework.
Well, it was also the way that she said it, too.
Yeah. I got nothing else to say about that.
Soup's racist, and that definitely would
Yeah.
not be done today.
No. And then so she wakes up screaming, and there's like a snap zoom.
Yeah.
So we got that back.
Snap zoom number 1 of the episode.
Okay. We'll have a snap zoom running counter for episode 11.
Well, here's a hint. It ends at 2, but we get 2 of them in one episode.
Okay. They're epic, though. Okay. So Blossom looks at the camera, basically, and wants to know why she can't just have sex dreams like everyone else. And then she doesn't come out of the flashback. She gets up and goes downstairs. So the first part was a dream. She was dreaming her and Six had a lot of homework at a sleepover, then dreamt she went into a flashback.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
I
Am
thought...
I caught up here?
No, I get it, but I thought that, like, the first scene where she was talking about what a nightmare it was about her switching schools was supposed to be, like, present time. And then the rest of the episode's a flashback, but it starts with a nightmare sequence. It's very confusing.
Where did Six go when she woke up?
No, so it's like the very first scene where they're in the room.
Maybe we needed those 6 seconds. Because I'm very confused here. Okay, sorry, keep explaining the timeline to me.
So say that first scene is in present time, where they're just talking about
Okay.
what happened. Then they go to the flashback, but the flashback starts with Blossom's nightmare. Does that make sense?
No. Where does 6 go when they flash back? So no. So the flashback is the nightmare?
No. The nightmare is the nightmare, but that's what starts the story of Blossom reliving how she changed schools, was because she had the nightmare.
Yes, that's fine.
So
I'm
the
with you
first
there.
scene happens, like, say, now, as in present
Yeah.
time. And the nightmare, she had the nightmare, like, 6 months ago.
Okay, I'm with you.
The rest of the episode happens within that, what happened 6 months ago after she woke up from that nightmare.
So this whole episode, except for that beginning part,
Is a
plays
flashback.
in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that, but then when does the flashback end?
The flashback ends, they're back in Blossom's room at the end of the episode.
Did that happen?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. All right.
So it's
I
like, it goes into a
completely-
flashback, but the flashback starts with a nightmare sequence.
Yes.
So it's just incredibly confusing.
This entire episode is the flashback, and then they come out of the flashback for the final scene, you're telling me.
Yeah, and it's them at the sleepover again.
Wow, okay. I thought those were 2 completely independent play. My apologies to Don Reo, who has crafted a impeccable timeline here in episode 11. My apologies. It's not confusing at all.
Are we caught up now? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I took out my protractor, and I have pictures all over my wall, like a detective's office, and I've connected all these pictures with red string, and I think I've got this now.
All right.
So she goes down to the kitchen, and there's good old Anthony with short sleeves and no track marks.
Of course he's in the kitchen.
He is not eating a pizza. There's a pizza there, but he's not eating it. He's reading the paper about a guy doing outdoor ballet, but this gentleman got caught in a tornado and screwed himself into the ground. I wrote, I may have screwed myself agreeing to review episode 11. Don Reo left alone is a madman.
I thought it was a pretty funny joke. Blossom laughed too. The guy was the guy was dancing ballet at an outdoor concert in Kansas, and as he was doing a pirouette, he gets caught in a tornado and screwed himself into the ground.
Sure.
That's just like
I'm just wondering when we're coming out of the flashback. I'm like, is this happening? Is this still part of the dream? Like, what? Where are we here? But okay, I'm glad it makes sense to you.
maybe I'm just picking up on what Don Reo's throwing out there.
You guys are on the same wavelength. Good for you. You are Don Rio's target audience. You are just like, damn, this is brilliant, man. Like,
oh my god, this guy.
Flashback.
How is this guy not Christopher Nolan, man?
This is actually kind of Inception.
It sort of is, man.
Right? We got a flashback into a dream sequence, and we wake up and we're still in the flashback. Like, come on.
And sometimes Blossom has a dream within a dream.
Right?
That's happened before, where she's woken up and she's still in the dream.
You got to pay attention.
Yes.
Everything happens for a reason.
Anthony asked Blossom if they've told their dad about her wanting to change schools yet. She said it wasn't the right time. Monday, he had a chat with the mom's divorce lawyer. Tuesday, he found Joey's test results and lost out on a gig scoring a movie. And Anthony says, sounds like it's one of his better weeks. And does that kind of wrap things up for you? Like, does that make sense as to why Nick is always a miserable prick?
Yeah,
you were wondering.
Totally. It makes sense. It's just he didn't start out miserable.
No, that's
those
true.
first two episodes he was very understanding, but I get it, man. Life beats you down, Public school opens Monday, and she hates her private school because she hates the rich girls named Tiffany who want to be trophy wives for fat guys named Sid. And that blew my mind. Is being fat part of the dream for gold diggers? Like finding a fat dude? That's such a weird detail that I've never heard of before. You'd think your dream, if you're a gold digger trophy wife, would to actually line up an attractive husband as well, but apparently no.
No, well, wouldn't it be like you'd want
being
somebody...
a trophy wife is your long-term goal, you want a fat husband.
Well, yeah, but wouldn't you want a fat or an old husband, one who's gonna kick the bucket soon?
See, I would have got old.
Fat, he could just have a heart attack.
Well, you're doing a lot of work for Don Reo, Sal. I feel like it's you and Don Reo against me in this episode already. You're doing so much work for this guy's
Don
writing.
Reo. I'm just...
You are in a weird place with Don Reo, and that's fine, man. I get it. If this is your episode, this is your episode. But I felt like fat and old would have made sense, but just fat. So, I was just curious that there's all these rich, hot girls who are wanting a, rich dude, but if he's skinny, I'm holding out for a fat guy. It's gold digger code.
I guess, well, I wouldn't know anything about it because I'm not fat or rich, so...
Well, I used to be fat, so... And I wasn't approached by gold diggers because I wasn't rich, so...
That's the two parts of the combination.
This is where I said, what am I missing? There's a full pizza on the table, and Anthony's making a PB&J.
Yeah.
They come back to it, to be fair. They come back to it.
They do.
And I was like, what is happening here?
I'm going to level... I didn't notice the pizza until it was addressed later on.
Yeah, it's full. There's not even one piece missing, and he's, pushing it out of the way to make peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah. Which is a complete downgrade.
Right? Are you on drugs or something, bro? Eat the pizza.
Wait a minute.
So he leaves. What? Anthony leaves, and Nick has clearly been standing outside, peering in the window, waiting for Anthony to leave because Anthony is not gone 2 seconds, and Nick comes in from outside. Grumpy Nick comes in complaining. He mentions the weirdos that are in the grocery store at 5 a.m. One nice lady introduced him to her kids. They were produce, and he bought them. And I wrote, reel it in, Don. Reel it in.
Yeah, this part was stupid.
And it went on for a long time.
Yeah, they named the cantaloupes, and he told Blossom to give one of them a squeeze because he likes it. It's weird. It's weird. Weird stuff.
You're a madman, Don. I do not get your humor.
Don Reo does have a very good track record in television.
I'm sure he does, and it's all based on melon jokes. Those double entendres have just put dollars in his bank.
Hey, man, I'd write melon jokes all day if I could get that kind of money.
If it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The pizza was left in the fridge because Nick likes coming home to cold pepperoni. Okay,
Yes.
that kind of explains it, but it wasn't in the fridge. It was sitting on the table, and that's where
And
I
open.
feel like they could have...
Like Anthony
Yeah.
had opened the box.
And it makes sense later, but I feel like they could have given us a kind of one more Easter egg or a tease of why this was happening, because it just looked like such a... You know, in Game of Thrones, when there's a Starbucks cup on the table, that's what it kind of looked like to me.
Yeah, fair enough.
The lady with the fruit children joke went on for over 2 minutes and didn't have a punchline or payoff, and the guy that loves coming home to cold pepperoni pizza goes nowhere.
Yeah.
But there's not even like any sort of heads up that this is going to mean, you know, that you should pay attention to this because it's going to mean something in 5 minutes or be talked about ever again, you know?
Right, yeah. Actually, by the time it came back around, I had totally forgotten about it. That's how much it doesn't matter.
You hear that, Don? It doesn't matter. You're turning on him.
I'm starting to.
Blossom beats around the bush about leaving Crestridge, Sal.
Yes, well, she asks if now's a good time to talk because he's all mad about the pizza. And Nick says, well, what do you want to talk about? Is it money, driving, or dating? And Blossom says no, and he says, well, then now's a great time to talk.
It's good.
She tries to beat around the bush by talking about going into the music program at the public school. And Nick says, well, he knows a ton of musicians that can just give her lessons. And that's when she has to basically outright say that she wants to start going to public school.
Yeah, and he says he likes private school because there's no boys. He loves that. She says she hates that. And then he says, father knows best. And Blossom says, that was the 50s. And he says, yeah, I love the 50s. And then the crowd, like, pity laughs. And they hard cut the music before, like, the 2 seconds of confused laughter could die. That is, like, the quickest transition. They're like, oh, they reacted. Like, the editor must have just spliced that together so tight, because that is not an end of the scene joke. That makes no sense. He loves the 50s, so, okay? Why is that funny that he loves the 50s? I don't, like, I'm being serious. I don't get why that's funny at all. Because father knows best?
Yeah, I guess because women just have to do what they're told. Like, I don't know.
I guess.
Whatever the man of the house says is what goes. That's why I love the 50s.
Okay.
That's not a good joke.
Okay. We go to the too many cooks shot, and now Blossom is helping Joey study.
Yes.
He was going to take the practice exam, but that aerobics show from Hawaii came on.
Hey, you know what, man? Joey's story in this episode, too, kind of saved the show. I really liked it this week, too.
He is a shining star in the rough episodes.
I think you're right. Obviously, he was like the breakout star originally, but I can see why.
Yeah, he makes it work, and I think that's because you expect so little of him.
Right.
When they write this shallow dialogue and he's able to give it a little bit of dimension, it goes a long way. Whereas most of the other actors have a lot of meaty roles with depth, and then when they have a bad script, they still have to like add that depth that you're used to from the characters, and it doesn't work.
It's true.
Because you're like, there's no way Blossom would care as much about this as a real issue she had 2 episodes ago, so it just falls flat and seems fake.
That's a good point.
Whereas Joey just, you know, you're supposed to be dumb, and when he does his like little body language, it just really comes across as just a complete narcissist. Just his facial expressions, it's so rewarding. And again, just complete salute to Joey Lawrence.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you're looking for it.
Yeah, his storyline saved the show, though, I thought. So, Blossom is getting paid to tutor Joey because he flunked a history exam.
Yeah, explain this joke to me.
Nick is paying Blossom to help tutor him so that he doesn't flunk out. He says, flunk is a strong word, Blossom. And Blossom says, yeah, but can you spell it?
They're studying history, Sal.
Right.
Wouldn't that joke have worked better if he was studying for a spelling test?
Yeah.
Don't swing at fouls, Don. Don't swing at fouls.
What would have been a joke that you could have placed in there?
Okay, she asks if he wants to flunk English again. He says, hey, flunk is a strong word. And she says, yeah, but can you spell it? Because they're studying English.
Yeah. Yeah.
That has a setup and a punchline.
All right. I'm with you.
Like, just
I'm with you.
Blossom is all wound up. And I also wrote, when did she start attending an all-girls school? Because
Well,
she's been in school with boys
yes, but
up
this
till
is,
now. Then I was trying to figure out the timeline. So did she just start? She's always been in high school, right?
yeah.
So she would be in grade 9 and Joey's in grade 10 because he's a year older than her.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did she switch to an all-girls school?
Before the show started.
Okay, all right.
This episode's like a flashback. I think it takes place before the pilot.
Okay, sure.
Does that not make sense?
Yeah, but then...
I feel like you're not understanding something here. And maybe I'm not explaining it too well.
No, I'm just not. This timeline is so convoluted.
This whole episode takes place like probably
Before
months
the pilot.
before. Yeah, months before the start of the show.
Okay, so this episode starts in real time, but we're going back into a time before the pilot where Blossom started high school at a all-girls school and then lied to her dad to transition to public school. And then we had episode 1 to 10, and then we come out of the flashback at the end of the show. I'm there? That's correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. I'm with you.
That's it.
Good for you for connecting those dots, because this is like trigonometry for me right now.
I did have to think about it. It wasn't spelled out very well to the audience, so I don't know if there'd be a better way to do it.
They could have explained it better.
I'm with you. It's confusing. So then Blossom basically determines that if Joey fails, then the public school that she wants to go to will get a bad rep, and she won't be allowed to go. And she says she won't have a social life, and she won't be able to join the band.
I wrote, Blossom is all wound up.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm going to give this show 100 points if in the all-girls school we get a girl named Bobby with an I.
I would not be surprised.
So then we go to a Too Many Cooks shot with a super aggressive synth song, but then it pays off because we go to Blossom's room and it's actually what she's listening to on her ghetto blaster and dancing to. But for a second there I was like, what is this transition music?
Yeah, it was 80s royalty-free music is what it was.
Yes. And Blossom is once again wearing the late Agnes's clothes.
I did not notice that.
That is an old lady outfit to match her old lady chair. Joey comes in with a scam to pass his history class because he wants to go to Las Vegas, right?
Blossom asks how the studying's been going, and Joey's been writing out the information on his arm, but it's all backwards, and then he uses a mirror on his other arm to read it. And Blossom actually seems kind of impressed with this.
Again, this sounds so stupid to people listening, and like Joey's an idiot, but Joey Lawrence sells it. Saying this concept aloud without seeing the scene sounds like some stupid eye-rolling sitcom, but Joey Lawrence, straight face, sells it. He makes me think it's a good idea too.
Blossom seemed impressed with this too, which I thought was weird, that she was like on board with it.
Yeah.
The fact that he was going to cheat and everything, but whatever. So then she kind of has a brilliant idea of her own, and she tells him to keep practicing writing it backwards and try and write it so small that he can fit everything on his arm, because he was complaining that he couldn't fit all the information that he needed on his arm.
She's tricking him into learning it for real.
What? Yeah.
Whoa. But again, I feel like this is Joey Lawrence and not the script.
Right. Fair enough.
Nick comes in and we get a weird moment where he goes shaving check and him and Blossom like rub faces.
Yeah, I thought that was odd.
Yeah. And then she just throws it out there and says she wants to go to public school. And he flips out.
Yeah, he shuts her down instantly.
I just don't get it. This is the inconsistency of Nick, you know?
Right.
I feel like he could have at least heard her out.
But he's done that before randomly too, no?
Yeah, there's just no wiggle room with Nick sometimes. So he gets mad, he flips out, and he says, don't mention it to me again. And then Blossom fires all her guns at once and says, if Mom was here, she'd let me go. And like, okay, as we talked about in the past, okay, my parents weren't divorced. I've never been divorced. But man, I seethed when she said that. Like, I felt real angry. I was like, you ungrateful kid. And you're kind of supposed to be on Blossom's side in this. And maybe watching as a kid, you'd be like, yeah, take that, Dad. You don't understand. But as an adult, I would have been like, oh my God, I am killing myself raising this family. Yeah, I was mad.
Well, we said this 2 weeks ago, too, when he was on the phone with the mom and they were arguing about what to do with Joey. It was like, she has no say in anything that goes on anymore. And Nick says that to her, too.
Yeah, and I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I turned on Blossom in this part. And he says his judgment is better than Little Richard's judgment. No, what does he say? He says, my judgment's better. Heck, Little Richard's judgment is better. And that's a weird callback.
Yeah.
Right? And it kind of took me out of the moment of this, like, the weight of this scene. I was like, that's really weird because Little Richard was on the show before. So I was like, are we getting another cameo or just weird person to mention?
Yeah.
It's like they finally found the tone and then he kind of Don threw it away.
Way to go, Don.
He says when Mom walked out, she lost her opinionation.
No, he didn't. Did he?
I thought that was good though, right? He
should.
said she lost her opinion, or maybe
and then he looked right into the camera.
Wrong. Yeah, and winked. And he says that's the end of it, and she says that's not the end of it. She's getting at a crest ridge, and then the camera zooms right in, and she goes, one way or another. And that was where I took a break for the night and watched the second half to the next day.
I don't blame you. Now we get the Too Many Cooks shot of the public school, and Blossom's walking down the hallway, and she just happens to catch Six. And Six looks shocked and asks how she convinced her dad, and Blossom says she didn't.
She transferred and never told her dad, and Six says, you're sneaking into school? And Blossom says, yeah, it's like 21 Jump Street, only she wears less makeup than Johnny Depp, which is an innocent joke back in 1991, but today Johnny Depp wears makeup to hide the bruises inflicted upon him by his insane ex-girlfriend. It still works, not quite as funny.
No. Six asks out she's going to have to hide it from Joey, and then Joey walks by and notices Blossom.
But here again, I don't want to just feel like this is, I don't want to make this show into just a complete love letter for Joey Lawrence. But again, it's like, I feel in the script, it was probably, Don Reo wrote that, like, this guy is an idiot. He doesn't even recognize the fact that Blossom isn't supposed to go to that school.
Right.
And she's going to that school. But Joey Lawrence just plays the absolute narcissist. The way he carries himself in the scene. Like, it doesn't directly apply to him in any way, so he just doesn't really care. It's not like he's too stupid to realize what's going on. It's just he's got his own stuff going on.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter to him. Yeah, that's true.
No, he's I said, did either Don or Joey Lawrence actually study narcissistic behavior? Because they're consistent with Joey not caring about anything that doesn't immediately affect him. And he's just kind of like, all right. And then he walks away, and the camera doesn't pay attention to it, but he just kind of grabs some girl and leads her around the corner.
Yeah, well, they were walking together initially.
Oh, were they walking together?
Yeah.
I didn't back it up. I was wondering if they came in together. But I was just like,
Yeah.
Joey is got his mind on other things, and he's like, why would he care? All right. His sister wants to go to his school. All right.
We'll just go over Blossom's plan here. So her private school started 2 weeks from when she was in the public school. So in that 2 weeks, she's going to go and work really hard and get all these letters from her teacher saying how well she's doing, and then show it to her dad, and that's how she's going to convince him. That's her entire plan. So when she tells this to Joey, he says, wait, you're spending the last 2 weeks of vacation at school, and you call me dumb?
He's landing some good shots.
Hey, he's not wrong.
Love it. No, absolutely not. Then some guy that's like 6'9" comes around the corner and says hi to Blossom, and Blossom likes that.
Yes. So she's convinced that she's made the right decision now that she saw Bobby. It's not Bobby. Bobby.
It's probably Bobby.
I'm sure his name was Bobby.
So they reset the scene.
Yes.
And Anthony is taking the pepperoni off the pizza. A detail I felt that would have been really added in the last scene if we could have seen him taking pepperoni off the pizza.
Agreed.
Right?
Well, I wrote, he bangs the pepperonis off the pizza. The way that he just picks up the whole pizza and like hits it against the table and they all just slide off.
And the last scene ended with Blossom wanting to bang the pepperoni too.
Well done.
Don Reo theming the episode.
Yeah. Little catches. Did you catch it?
Can you make a pepperoni bang t-shirt?
Nick catches Anthony and realizes it was him and tells him to save him some pepperoni. And I said last week this would have sent Nick over the edge. This week he's perfectly fine with it.
He's all his negative energy is out because he yelled at Blossom. So I wrote, no wonder Nick is always so moody. He's delirious with long-term food poisoning because people just leave pizza out in the open.
Yeah.
Not in the fridge.
No.
Just on the table.
So, like, does he order it the night before and it's hot, and then he puts it in the fridge so that it's cold for the next morning? Is that what he does?
I don't know. And then Anthony takes the pepperoni off.
So Nick is talking to Anthony about what's going on between him and Blossom. And then Anthony just starts building him up right away and telling him he's doing a great job raising 4 kids. And, oh, yeah, I wrote that was part of the joke. So he says he does a great job of raising 4 kids, and then Nick kind of looks at him and he says, oh, he counted himself twice. Which, okay, sure.
Right? It's funny because he's a former drug addict.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know where that joke was supposed to land. And then Nick says he's blocked.
Yes.
And Anthony says, I used to be blocked. The answer to being unblocked was Stacy Fertelli. And, like, I think I get that joke, but it's super clunky and definitely not worthy of the big Nick reaction to end the scene.
It was, yeah. You want to talk about overacting, his eye roll here.
Right? We get to the Too Many Cooks Night Edition.
Yes.
6 is singing Thriller, and Blossom uses the David Spade on Saturday Night Live line, which was popular at the time, and says, hey, 6, Michael Jackson called and says, quit killing his song. That's literally word for word a David Spade joke when he used to come on the news and do the Hollywood Minute?
Oh, yeah. Called? On Weekend Update?
That's totally a David Spade line. Blossom is finishing an essay. She's going to get all her teachers to write letters of recommendations, and then she's going to give them all to her dad when they go for supper, because once a month, just her and her dad go out for supper.
Yes.
Just the two of them.
Yeah, and 6 says, he can't kill you in public.
She
makes a point. She makes a point. So
hashtag 1991.
So Joey shows up at the door, and he's tried 42 times to get the writing smaller. When he wipes his arm on his forehead, he keeps rubbing off some of the information, and Blossom tells him, well, just don't do that. And then he has a moment of realization where he's like, oh, yeah, that's a good point.
And he's like, thanks. Doesn't acknowledge the fact that that's like a dumb moment. He's just like, oh, yeah, thanks. No, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, Blossom.
And he pieces out, and Blossom turns to 6 and says, I wonder how he feeds himself. And a thirsty 6 says, I'll feed him. But then it's super glossed over, and they go almost directly into the next line.
Yeah, I wrote, that's the PG version of I'll give him something to eat.
Jesus.
100%. That's the same joke.
Yeah.
It's 100%. Don Reo got the red marker for that one by his higher-ups.
Blossom says she'll have to get herself thrown out of Crest Ridge.
Yes.
So now we are at Crest Ridge.
And we're in another dream sequence.
This is a dream sequence. Yes. So Blossom's sitting down with the dean in her office and telling her that she wants to go to public school, and the dean is not pleased. And then Blossom pulls out a cigarette and starts smoking.
That made my day.
Right?
All the sins of this episode up till now are erased seeing Blossom smoke.
Yeah, that was something. It was something to see, for sure. First of all, I don't even think you can smoke on television anymore.
No, you cannot.
Yeah, let alone a 14-year-old girl doing it. Like,
I barely know anybody that smokes anymore in general, now that vaping's there.
The dean gets upset. Blossom throws the cigarette out in her trash bin and then tells her, chill, Mom, don't have a cow.
Because 1991, because The Simpsons.
Yeah. So she puts her feet on her desk, she calls her granny, and then she tries to bribe her. Says, how much would it cost to stuff an old bird like you?
And she starts peeling off bills.
Yeah.
Don Reo taught her how to do that for sure.
Amazing.
But you missed the part where she asks Blossom what's wrong, and Blossom says, nothing that bottle in your drawer can't cure.
I missed that.
Oh, man.
Amazing.
Yeah. How fun would this scene have been to act if you were Mayim?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you could tell she is having the time of her life with this scene. This right here should be the Blossom reboot.
Blossom basically sets fire to this lady's office and then starts doing an evil laugh. And then
I was trying to come up with a funny line where, I don't know, she'd be like, Nick, you don't need, she's standing there smoking. Nick, you don't need 88 keys to unlock this door.
Oh, jeez.
Blossom, what's wrong with you? Everyone else stays the same 1991 character, and Blossom is like 2021 gritty, like she's got like a shaved head, just has no fucks to give.
I want to see this spin-off.
I would watch that. And then from there we transition into Blalf, the Blossom Alf team up.
We have to. So, Blossom does an evil laugh as she sets fire to this woman's office. And then she wakes up. She jolts out of bed again. And that's snap zoom number 2.
Yeah. Too Many Cooks, the restaurant edition.
Yes. Hey, new set.
Yeah.
She's out to dinner with her dad. And I wrote, Blossom is wearing the most blossomous hat I've ever seen.
I wrote, Blossom has no idea a giant brown flying saucer has landed on her head, and this is where the alien music from Act 1 should go.
Yeah, yours was better.
What is that thing?
I don't know.
It's a flying saucer. It's got a brim and then a bulb on top.
Yeah, it's really weird looking. It's like not a Mountie hat, but it's pretty similar. Nick is just asking what's up with Blossom lately. She's been quiet and less annoying. And Blossom says, oh, so when I'm less annoying, I'm acting weird?
And he says, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just shuts her down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the time Blossom's about to show him all the letters that she has from her teachers. And someone named Mike walks up who apparently knows Nick and is also Blossom's music teacher in public school.
I thought his name was Mike Anderson. So indulge me as we go on through this next scene as Mike Anderson.
I think it was Mike Anderson.
It was Mike Sanderson, the credits said.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But I thought it was Mike Anderson. I was really excited about that as we share last names. In record time, he basically says Blossom is in his brass ensemble and she's his best new student. And I wrote, like usual, the oblivious Andersons can't read the room. Which I'm sure we could do an entire episode of stories of just you and I out on the town where I couldn't read the room. So I was quite proud of that.
Well done. During this part, this is where Blossom starts to pull the brim of her hat down over her head to hide from the teacher. So
that takes a while.
Yeah. Nick asks basically what's going on. He said this isn't good. How did she register? Blossom says, I forged your signature. And then in a very overacted way, Nick says, well then, you're kind of in big trouble.
Could you be in any more trouble?
Right.
He goes all Chandler Bing on her.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take this next scene, okay?
You go for
Here's
it,
my
man.
moment.
Let's hear it.
We completely bail out of that scene. And now we're back at home, and Nick is complaining to Anthony that Blossom got letters from all her public school teachers saying how she's doing so well, and this finally closes the circle. Because Anthony replies, boy, no wonder you're so mad. So it was Don Reo who forced this classic non-react swerve joke into all the earlier episodes. Remember how we talked about there's that one person in the writing room that's always like, she's the worst, she was so nice to me and did this and this and this for me. And then the next person's like, yeah, what a whore. You know, they always had that joke.
True. Yeah.
Where someone was complaining about things that were positive, and then the person would react and be like, yeah, sounds terrible. It was Don Reo. 100%. He
Good
was the
catch,
guy that
man.
brought that
Nice
to the
callback.
table
Nice
every
callback.
single time. Yeah!
Well
Don
done.
Reo.
Well done.
That's his 1-2 punch, man. I said go back and listen to the first 4 or 5 episodes we did, and you'll know what we're talking about.
I mean, I think Anthony kind of had a point, though, when he said that. Because it was like, she's there and she's doing well and working hard, so really, what's the difference?
But you could see that coming a mile away, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There were no swerves to this ending.
No. So Nick was just mad that she did it behind his back. Anthony quotes a Dear Abby, which has no real...
No, but he says, well, Dad, I read something today in Dear Abby I think you might find apropos. And this is how I want Anthony to talk from now on. That was so rewarding for me, of Anthony just, like, randomly quoting people. Like, quoting what he read in the newspaper, because that's his only window to the outside world. That is awesome. I think they should just take that one step further, and, like, for all future episodes, he should just have, like, bigger bags under his eyes and be like, well, I read in TV Guide. Like, that should be his thing. And the fact that he used apropos would just...
That put it over the top for you, eh?
It did. I really enjoyed that. That sudden swerve of the Anthony character just showing some spark of, like, being interesting.
So Joey walks in all psyched. He got a C- on his history exam.
He got a 68. That's out of 100.
Yeah.
Joey is wearing the biggest triple XL rainbow shirt, and there was no gay pride left for the rest of us in 1991 because that shirt sucked it all up. The entire Russo family could tent under that thing if they had to.
Did you ever have those parachutes that you'd use in, like, school sometimes?
Yes. Where you'd, like, lift it up and everybody would run underneath and then it would slowly come down, you run back out. Yeah. Put a collar and some buttons on that, and that was Joey's shirt.
Awesome.
I noticed the audience, speaking of laugh, just not...
They weren't into it like they were last episode.
Week. No. And I think that's telling. I think that's a good gauge of how the episode is going, is how into it the audience is. And they were just kind of... weren't that into it.
It was very tame this week in comparison. So Blossom comes down the stairs and asks Joey if he cheated. Joey says, I got a C-. Of course I cheated.
Ding!
So Joey's explaining how he cheated. He memorized the content from writing it so much on his arm. So then Blossom says to him, so how did you cheat? And this is the line of the episode, because this is where the crowd gets the mega laugh. He says, I hid it in my head.
What are your thoughts on that joke?
I liked it. I thought it was great.
You were a big fan?
Yeah.
I laughed out too, but I was like, is this the jump the shark moment for Joey? Because that seems a little dumber than he would usually go currently. You know what I mean?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty par for the course.
I didn't throw my hands up and hate it, but I was just like, is that leaning too far into the fact that he's really dumb? But maybe not. I'm very conscious of the Joey jump the shark moment where he suddenly just becomes like an idiot, you know?
Maybe it'll be the opposite, and he'll have a lot of growth throughout the series. Because I kind of remember that too. Like, I remember him having a lot of serious moments too.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh? More to come. How apropos.
I see what you did there. Joey asks to celebrate if he can go to Vegas with his buddies. And Nick plays into it at first. And then he says, do you see the word stupid written on my forehead? No. So then Joey just kind of hangs his head and leaves the room. Nick says he read the letters that Blossom got. And he says, what you did was amazing, but the way that you went about it was dishonest. And Blossom says she guess she's grounded in her room until the year 2000 or something, right? And it's like, man, in 1991, 2000 would have seemed like so far away.
Here's where they have the flash forward, and it's Blossom in her room watching the live coverage of Woodstock 99 on television, and she sees a screaming Six get sucked back into the mosh pit. Blossom shrugs, turns off her TV, and starts playing the oboe.
That's pretty dark. Six getting sucked back into the mosh pit. Oh, no.
Woodstock 99, folks.
What a disaster.
She would be lucky. She would be lucky if she was grounded and could not attend. She would look back on that bullet dodged for the rest of her life.
Absolutely.
In my world, Blossom was set to go to Woodstock 99, and I have no reason to think her and Six didn't eventually go.
I'm sure they did.
Could you imagine if they did like a one-off, a special? Blossom and Six at Woodstock 99. Limp Bizkit could do the intro. Don't know about the future. That's my Fred Durst. I'm sorry. I thought I could commit to that when I started, and I could not. That didn't sound anything like Fred Durst.
Now keep it going.
Nah. I'm trying to figure out what was his cadence. He had so many, like, he couldn't sing, so he just, like, do this. Like, that was his range.
I think he got it.
God bless him.
I think he got it.
And God bless him. What a front man. Limp Bizkit's so good, man.
They were awesome.
Right at the right age. Right at the right age to just completely just jump headfirst into that, like, white guy angst of the late 90s. Oh, it was so magical. It was like, finally!
Right.
Corn with a K. Finally, people making music for me and my plights as some privileged white guy living on the prairies. Oh, God. I seriously, probably about once every 2 or 3 months, I watch the Limp Bizkit performance from Woodstock 99, and it is just, it's like a completely different planet. I don't get those people. I was pretty rowdy around 1920. You know, I could do the mosh pits. I could,
Age 1920. I was like, what?
Yeah. I watched Woodstock 99, and there is zero part of me that was like, man, if I was 19, I was like, oh God, no. What am I even watching?
No.
It is the most televised chaos that wasn't like live breaking news that I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I was in summer camp that year, and I remember everybody talking about it.
Limp Bizkit, $1 million performance.
Yeah.
Or $1 billion, probably. They leveraged that for everything. Good for them.
Oh, man, yeah.
What was the Much Music VJ that went on to do, like, work for, like, Playboy TV?
Oh, I can't remember her name.
I always remember she was doing a live hit, because they did live hits, like Much Music, during Woodstock 99.
Yeah.
And I remember she was in this, like, tower thing, and I have never seen anything more terrifying. She was swaying, like there was this like big tower thing that was safe to like go upstairs to get to above the crowd that she was doing a hit, and there was like hundreds of people below like swaying this thing, and she's trying to Rachel Perry. So she's up top, I'm sure it was her, and she has got like her mic in one hand and she's grabbing the like railing with her other hand, and you can see this thing is moving like a foot or two each side. This like big steel structure that should not be moving, and she's trying to do a hit, and she's saying how she's actually terrified, and she's like, hey, please go to something else so I can get off this thing. And I was like, oh my God, like
that's some crazy live TV to witness.
This is nuts live TV. I recorded the whole thing, and then I gave it to my friend so he could watch it because he was there, and then he took the tape to his cabin, and I never got it back.
Damn it, that sucks.
I know. It had the Owen Hart tribute show on the same VHS tape.
Oh, man.
Right?
What a tape to lose. Jeez.
Where's my tape, Jeff?
Yeah, where is it, Jeff?
Come on. Woodstock 99. Didn't think we'd be talking about that this in depth, but maybe we should do a whole cast on Woodstock 99.
I'm down.
Apparently Netflix is doing a series on it.
Amazing.
They should. If that's true or not. Yeah.
They should. It's such a crazy story.
There should be so much footage. It is such a crazy story.
Yeah.
The 90s were such a time of rebellion.
Right.
And like stick it to the man and nonconformity. And then Woodstock 99 was the most like gouging, like water. A bottle of water was like $8. Like a piece of pizza was like $11 US.
Yeah.
And there was no shade out there, and it was they just baked these kids in the sun, and the porta potties overflowed, and they just by day 3 they just broke, and they finally got their feeling of Woodstock unity as they burnt that place to the ground. And it's kind of poetic in that way. Despite the giant cash grab and corporate greed that was Woodstock 99, they found a way to feel the unity that was felt in Woodstock 1 in 69. But they had to do it by rioting and burning it to the ground. And that's, like, amazing. I mean, there was also horrible, like, sexual abuse in there.
Oh, yeah.
Which, not cool.
No. No, we don't condone that, obviously. What's left?
Where do we go from there?
I think we should
wrap up Blossom episode 11.
I think we should wrap it up. We come to our piano moment of the week.
Yes. Nick asks if she wonders why she thinks he'd say no. 'Cause he's mean and nasty. Yeah. I didn't write that right. Did you have that?
Yeah, well, Nick says, do you wonder why I'd say no? And Blossom says, because you're mean and nasty. And then Nick basically goes on to say that he's just scared about raising a girl alone. And he thinks that she'd be protected for a little while longer if she was at Crest Ridge.
That's fair.
Yeah, he kind of gets his point across here. Blossom just says the only way that she'd be protected from the outside world is if she was in a convent in Switzerland. And then Nick says, what's the name of the convent?
Blossom says, you think I'm going to turn into some psycho teenage mutant nymphomaniac?
Yes.
Because what was hot at the time? And Don Reo leans back in his chair and makes the chef's kiss sign to himself. Reo, you done it again.
You magnificent bastard.
God is talking to me through this pen. Yeah, Nick's reaction is really good here. Like, Nick is really doing well. Like, the actor.
Yeah.
He's playing the scene perfectly. Blossom says, no school is going to keep me out of trouble. Only I can do that. And I said, damn, great line. For real. Don, I've been riding you like a horse this whole episode, but that is a great line of dialogue. For real. The only person that could keep me safe is me. Like, yeah, that's what you say in that situation.
Yeah.
I brought it around. Praise for Don. He was saving it to the end. And then Nick says, I trust you, Blossom, which is a wonderful passive-aggressive line. My wife and I say that to each other all the time when we know the other's about to make a bad decision. I say, oh, I trust you. That's a true marriage story for me.
Well, Nick uses that line on Blossom. Says he trusts her, and then he allows her to go to public school.
Oh, I wrote it here. I said that we get the blur transition out of the scene, and I'm confused. Okay, that does make sense. It was me. There it is right there. I wrote it in there.
There you go.
Okay.
Which is funny because it was a flashback, and that South Park episode that we've referenced before where it always comes back, and it's like, well, that's what I call a sticky situation. They're actually eating ice cream when it comes back.
Yeah, they're clinking their spoons annoyingly loud.
Yeah.
And then Dawn really brings it home because the girls reflect and they say, well, remember this when our own daughters are our age and want to go to public school. Will we let them? And then they take a beat and they go, nah. And Don Reo in the shadows goes, yes, and throws like a cloud of money above himself. I wrote, okay. That was my final thought of this episode. That's not like the episode was okay, just like nod. Yep, that happened.
Yeah.
Judith Marie Bergman was the dominatrix, and I got really excited for a second because I thought maybe that was Judith the writer that's written 3 episodes so far, or co-written, but it was not.
No dice. I actually thought she looked familiar, and when I looked her up, she wasn't in anything of note that I've seen.
And she actually passed away at 67. Next up, we have Priscilla Morel, who played Miss Whiting, the dean, who also died age 67.
Whoa.
Huh? Right?
Is there a weird poltergeist thing with this episode?
Possibly. From there, we go to Nicole Huntington was Wendy, the snobby girl that turned around and told Blossom that the dog should have eaten her homework. And she
will die at 67.
Probably. Well, her career died in 1992 because the last thing she did was Intruders Checkout Girl. That's who she played, the checkout girl in The Intruders. And Frankie Como was best known for Revenge of Michael Myers.
Nice.
And he played Mike Henderson. That's what it was. It wasn't Anderson. It was Henderson. That's how he was credited. And my heart broke a little.
Yeah.
Because I thought I had a good Anderson joke, but wasn't meant to be.
Oh, well. We'll get him next
time.
time.
And then, last, we have... This is the saddest one of all. Chris Newquist.
Okay.
Did you look up Chris Newquist?
No.
He was the tall boy that came around the corner.
Oh, okay.
And for some reason, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, is that Cameron from Ferris Bueller? I don't know why I thought that.
I definitely would have recognized Cameron from Ferris Bueller.
Right? But he was there so like, shortly. He was only there for like 2 seconds. Then I got really excited. No, that's not the actor at all. And then I was like, wait a minute, is that the bassist from Nirvana? No, it wasn't him either. So I finally looked up Chris, and guess what he has in his filmography?
What's that?
1991 Blossom.
That's it.
That is it.
So no one in the pit this week.
I think this guy is legitimately in Don Rio's pit. Like this, like Chris Newquist is like buried under his porch or something.
Yeah, should we check? Should we get someone to check in on Don Rio's basement?
Probably.
As he lowers the basket into the pit.
Don Reo shows up at his next meeting. He's like, hey, I got a riddle for you. How many Get the mute button ready. How many dead teenagers does it take to change the light in my crawl space? Apparently more than one. Am I right, Chris Nowquist?
Oh, God. There's nowhere to go from there.
Oh, that's horrible. Sure, Don Reo's like the nicest guy in the world, right?
He hasn't been Harvey Weinstein yet, so he's got to be.
Oh. All right.
We got the 5th Joey Woe.
Yeah, so that's Joey 5, Anthony 3,
Yep.
and Alf 1.
Amazing. Next week's episode 12, Papa's Little Dividend.
I'm guessing Nick is Papa. What the hell's a dividend?
I don't know. Maybe I'm not even saying it right.
No, I think you're saying that right. I've heard it before, but it's like, maybe we're both really stupid. I feel like there needs to be more information that you can't just use the word dividend standing alone, but maybe I'm wrong.
If one thing's for sure, the iTunes synopsis will clear it all up for us.
Right? They totally didn't just drag their knuckles across the keyboard and be like, that. There we go. Done.
Well, stay tuned for that.
I am off to watch some more Woodstock 99 footage, I think. Always a pleasure, buddy. Always a good time.
Don't know. Don't know. Don't know.
No one's paying you to do that. Where's your show? Huh? I'm Don Reo.